welcome to another episode of the Ebony Experience with Cancer. Thank you for joining us today. I have a special guest with me today. Dee is here. Dee is a breast cancer survivor and she'll be sharing her cancer journey with us. Welcome, Dee.
Thank you.
Good. So, thank you for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Right, so as mentioned, Dee, 44 years old. I'm trying to get to know.
I know, isn't it? We all get old.
Yeah. I'm 44. I am married with kids and I work in tech in the UK.
So I know you've just you've shared your story with me, but I want you to share with our viewers today. So what I was gonna say is, how did you feel when you got the breast cancer diagnosis?
Trying to look for the right words. I felt devastated, to be honest. Like I felt like I was watching a Netflix movie because when I went in for the test, I took it very lightly. That's why one of those things. Okay, let me just check, and I was surprised. I never even thought about it after, and they took my sample and everything for biopsies. And when I was going, I was very. I didn't think it was going to be positive. So when I walked in there and I saw the consulting room, I saw them telling me, oh, you may record the whatever. I'm like, what do you want them that I need to record? My brain is magnetic. Whatever it is. So when the nurse started and it was like, my head went like no, wake me up kind of thing. And I think that was the last thing I had, to be honest. Now I know why they said I should record the conversation, because every other thing that was said afterwards, I can't remember, to be honest. Like, my head went like, oh, you're going to die. Because I was walking to my mind, coming from a place of, I lost a friend in 2021, September 29th, to breast cancer. And so, less than a year after, this is
to have the same
diagnosis.
Wow.
I really can't explain the emotions. I know I got very teary. I don't know where the tears came from. I've always thought that made strong. I became teary, like, huh?
And did you have someone with you, or was it just you there?
It was just me. Funny enough, I was doing Superman. Like, what's there is the results. I'm gonna get my results and come back. Like I said, I never imagined that it was going to hit me. But thankfully, the nurses were very professional, and I love how they handled everything. The whole diagnosis was so reassuring. More like, it was hope giving.
Okay.
Like, don't worry, there's treatment for it. So I kept asking, as in, does it work? Like, I want to know, how well does this work? So like, yeah, it works. Don't worry, it works. That it's a journey, and we're going to have to refer you and all that. It wasn't really making sense. Like,
I can imagine. And let me ask you, how did you find the whole referral process? From when you discovered this to having all your tests being done, how did you find the whole referral process?
Well, I would say that the process was top notch. It was handled very professionally. Like I said, I'm that kind of a person that could be very indifferent. Like, I could trivialize certain things. I don't take certain things very seriously, because I always believe that every problem, you can crack anything, girl. You can crack anything. So I am not that kind of person that get overly worried about things. So when I say, I just reported the lump very casually, like, let's see what's there. So when it happened, and from the first consultation, the way the medical team took it was more like, I mean, even me, I'm not this serious about this whole thing, but from the day one, I started getting, I mean, it was more like pam, 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 next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing. Even me, I felt overwhelmed that, oh, so.
And I think that's really important what you're saying, because a lot of people are anxious, and waiting period also just increases people's anxiety. So from what you're saying, it looks like things were done in a timely manner or fashion, which made it easier a bit to deal with, and reduced your anxiety in a way.
Yes, I would say yes. In my case, yes, it was. Because although there was this caution that, oh, the waiting period could be long, I mean, you may not get invited for even the scans until, but I got it pretty early, and I mean, that really helped. I didn't have too many long sleepless nights to think about what's next. And at every point, that I love the fact that I had information, I knew what was next. I mean, there was guidance, I knew what to do, I knew what not to do, I knew where to get information. From the word go, I was told, don't go on Google. Like,
Dr. Google.
I said, don't go on Google, it will help you. And and I stuck to that. Even though I still did, but it was just for my own information. I knew what to take in and what not to.
And I think information finding is very important. So as much as we say don't go to Google, we don't say don't go to the internet, because there's some really good websites that you can go that have the right information. So it's about having the right information, and not just anybody giving information that might not be correct. So, you have the Macmillan website, you have the Breast Cancer Now website, and they're very good websites that you can have good information from. Okay. So how did your first consultation with your oncologist go?
That was that seemed to be about the longest waiting period. Like, because from the time I was diagnosed, they told me, I mean, the next appointment will be with your oncologist. I'm like, oncologist? What? How did I find myself here? Having to consult with an oncologist. So it was more like a family project, because my husband and I were just waiting. 14th of July. It was like, that day was going to take forever. So eventually, first thing that I did when I got my invitation letter, I went on LinkedIn. I checked the name. I wanted to see, who she was, how good was. I mean, I just did that check to know. I mean, so that I have background information, just like anybody would do with anything you want to go into. You just want to have basic information about the person you're going to meet with. So that helped me. That kind of reassured me that, okay, yeah, she's black.
Very important.
Yeah, she's black, so I can relate well I can deal, right? So, because it's important, because sometimes you can't really, you might not really be able to help people if you haven't been in their shoes.
Absolutely.
And when you talk about experience, color, all these things still come into play. Let's not even say no, but it comes into play. So meeting you for the first time, wow, like I said, my mind was already prepared to meet you. I'm looking forward to it. And the way you sounded like, yeah, I know what it is. I mean, I saw that professionalism. I saw experience come into play. I saw somebody that has that humanity in her come into play, because you looked at me and you're like, D, you're young. You have to fight this thing. You're going to be very aggressive, because your type of cancer is the aggressive one. We're going to have to fight back. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to kill this. So if you give me the permission to be rigorous, we have to fight this. And for me, even though as at that time, I didn't really understand what the treatment, what was to come after, but I mean, for me, I saw somebody who is not just a medical professional, but somebody who is interested in seeing coming out on the other side as a survivor. I saw someone who is willing to give it her best professionally to make sure that we're fighting I saw someone who's willing to partner with me to get me through this long journey. You told me it was going to be a very long journey, but I didn't understand.
I know. So this is the thing. So when you have this conversation with patients, they usually don't understand. Actually, I've tried now to kind of give a time for patients so that they can understand how long that
I
journey
think you
might
actually
be.
did, because I remember my husband asked you, so what time, like,
Okay, yeah.
I said give or take 1 year. In my head I'm like, 1 year. But I mean, the fact that there was a timeline also helped me. So every time I felt it was taking too long, I told myself, okay,
Almost
soon.
Almost there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that really helped. I mean, giving an idea of it's just kind of preparatory, helping you to prepare for the journey ahead. Because like a dark journey, you don't know what's out there. But having somebody who has dealt with a number of patients and seen them through the same journey and telling you that it's going to take about 1 year. For me, it was quite strange coming from somebody who has never had to deal with any kind of ailment. Like, this thing where I don't even go to the hospital. Like, I'm not that kind of person that falls sick easily, that would get to the point of even going for.
And I remember during my internal medicine training, I used to tell my colleagues and say that if you see a black person in hospital, they're truly not well. Because the culture, and I think it, like you said, it's important to have someone who understands the culture. The black culture is never showing up in hospital, and if you do see someone coming to the hospital, then I usually tell my colleagues, I have to go and talk to that person. It's really important for them to drag themselves here. I have to go and find out. So yeah, but from what you're saying, I think giving enough information to the patient so that they can make an informed decision is very important. Because I think having that information would arm you and guide you through that journey.
I don't know if it's right to say that I think the environment also matters. I'll say maybe probably back home, medical professionals, I don't know how much information they give, because I remember now that when I came for my first consultation with you had your colleague who for the first 15-20 minutes ran me through everything I should expect. So for me, I love that part that I had information. I knew what I was going to deal with, so yeah, information is they say it's the commodity of kings. It's very important.
Absolutely. So and did you experience, so taking us through your journey now, did you experience any side effects during your treatment? And if yes, what were they and how did you cope with it?
Yeah, of course, I experienced multiple
Just tell us some of them.
Okay, I think first the most traumatic one was losing my hair. So yeah, I had information. I was expecting to lose my hair, but I didn't know I didn't know how it was going to happen until I'm in the bath and I'm having a shower and the hair falls off and I'm like, I sleep and wake up and there's hair
on the pillow.
And it was kind of traumatic for me, but for me I'm like, this is the list of my problems. Honestly, this is the list of my problems. I remember you mentioning to me that don't worry, it will grow back. You're gonna lose your hair as beautiful as the hair. You even emphasize as beautiful as you're gonna lose your hair and everything. So my mind was prepared, but I didn't know the how it was going to happen. The how is kind of more traumatic than the loss itself. Kind of like, what's going on? Like, that's one. Then the other part of that, I experienced nausea. Like, I remember my first chemo, I had diarrhea, and between the night that I had it and the next one, I'd gone like 12 times. I'm like, this is it. You know, it was really bad. But like I said, I was armed with information. So I had information, I knew who to call, I mean, it was just beautiful to know that you have a 24/7 emergency line you could reach out to, you could express yourself, you could tell them how you're feeling, and they tell you what to do and all that. So that's one. And the weakness that comes with it. I mean,
especially when you're like a buzz bunny or someone was always active.
Yes, so
and then suddenly now.
I remember at the early stage when I was still feeling like super superwoman. One of the days, I think after my first chemo, so like a week after or before my next appointment, my daughter and I went to town. I wanted to go and get some things, and I got into town and I had to sit down for like 4 different times.
Wow.
My younger daughter was angry.
Oh.
She felt, why are you so slow? So I remember I saw that anger in her face, and I saw her, I'm like, why are you frowning? What's going on? She said, Mom, do you want me to be honest with you? I don't know why you're this slow.
Wow.
I mean, you're just doing like something is wrong with you. I said, something is actually wrong with me, girl.
And did they know of your diagnosis?
Yes, I told them, but for the 9-year-old, she couldn't really process it, so I had to use age appropriate that, there's a lump somewhere and I need to go through a series of treatments to cure it, and I'm going to have surgery at a point, but she didn't really understand. She didn't have the full picture, so she couldn't understand why her mom everywhere suddenly has now become like, you know, the feeling is synonymous with when you tune down the volume of your TV. So you're just like, you're just looking like.
So and it looks like life is passing you by.
You want to go to the restroom, you're processing how to get yourself up and just get this thing done. For me, that's the most, it was the most devastating part. It was that part of I get locked up in the house all by myself. It was something that I didn't anticipate to be that bad. Yeah, I was aware that I would get easily tired and all that, but in my head I'm like, how tired can I be? But the most traumatic part for me was when everybody leaves the house, my daughters go to school, and they come back to meet me on the same spot
that they left.
Like, I can't even get up to help myself. I mean, God. It was really, really traumatic for me. Like, so there are days that I couldn't even get up to fix the drop breakfast for me or something. I can't even. So that's the other part.
The food.
The food. The food. Nothing was making sense. I couldn't eat, but I have to eat. So I'm usually like, and to be honest, I never used to be that kind of a person that would do fruits or these kind of things. Right? I was never like, I've always been a typical African woman.
Eat proper food.
Eat proper food. I mean, eat proper food, like, you know, but even the proper food, the snack, I never used to be a snack person. So whenever my husband will snack, I'm only like, why don't we eat proper food and move on? Like, so hearing the medical team advise me to just snack on the go, anything that could stay, or so, I was like, for me, that was another punishment on its own. Then I would throw up literally almost everything. I mean, tea was not going, water. So you tell us, oh,
Drink 2 liters
of water. How now? How do you drink 2 liters of water? But because you get to a point in your life where I tell my friends now that don't wait until good food becomes a prescription. As in, don't just get to that point, because you'll be doing it out of compulsion. So from the word go, I made sure that I always had water close to me. So just sip when I can, and gradually became a habit. Like the other part was you want to go to the bathroom, you're not able to help yourself. You need to go, but you're too weak to go. Or there are times that I have to crawl up the stairwells to get to my room. I mean, it got to a part where my husband had to get a commode for me in the room. I mean, so seeing that kind of environment and thinking back, how did I get here? I mean, like, you know what Africans would say, hey, hold me.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was a journey that taught me that, I mean, there's nothing like being a superhuman. I mean, you're either well or unwell. The moment health is taken out, every other thing just nosedives. You can't do nothing without good health. So it helped me to appreciate health.
And it's important what you've said. A lot of times we are strong, we've been built up to be strong, and we find it difficult to ask for help. But I think it's very important to be able to have the support system and lean into people. So for example, you said your husband was able to get you a commode, so you had that support system in place. They could see that you were struggling and they were able to help you. So it's very important. I know we're strong, independent Black women, but we should learn to ask for help from family members, or I know sometimes it's not a time where you want to share with other people, but at least whoever is in your space, exactly, just learn to lean on them. You could say, okay, this is what I need, can you help me with this? I've always been able to do it, but I can't do it. And it's just being truthful to yourself at that time. And I think it's important.
I agree with you, because the support part, I remember you guys would ask if we have support for this journey, and I remember me saying yes, I do. And my family, my husband and my daughters were very supportive. You know the way where you have to literally cook for your teenagers because you are going to school, get everything ready for them. Like, mommy was the Mrs. Fix-It in the house, and now she's down. As in, my kids have never seen me being down. So finding themselves in that space where they're looking at what's going on. You've been here all day. Will you please try and stand up and all that? And I'm not able to, on the days that I'm not. They were really very supportive. Had to grow. Started cooking, doing a lot for me. And I mean, that emotional and psychological support was really very good. Nobody tried to scold me. Nobody tried to say, no, put yourself together. I mean, get up and, We're just like, take your time. And the beautiful part, which I would like to also emphasize, is that it's good when you have people that really understand what you're going through. And I remember my husband saying to me, see, forget about everything. Just focus on yourself. As in, you owe us to take care of you. So, you need to leave everything. I mean, just leave everything. Like, we will do the part that we can do, but just focus on yourself. So for me, that was a blessing.
So now coming to the exciting part, how did you feel when you got the all clear?
Hi. I remember. Oh goodness. I remember I didn't know what to expect. Okay. God, these scans have been done. I remember waiting and walking it and hearing that all your margins are clear. I remember you were even saying, do I know what that means? I said, maybe not. And you're like, you're now clear, cancer free. I'm like, wow. I was excited, but I couldn't really express myself at that point. But I remember walking out of the door and tears started dropping.
Wow.
Like, really? This very long journey has finally come to an end beautifully. I mean, like, I've heard people say that there are two types of survivors: those that survive here and those that survive on the other side of life. And then I remember hopping on the bus and I was just playing songs. I didn't even mind if people were there. I mean, nobody knew what was going on. And I was just thankful and grateful for the journey and the success of the entire treatment process. I was on the bus and I remember I was in tears. I mean, I was playing music. I was just like so thankful. The kind of gratitude that comes from your heart. I'm like, really? So people do actually survive this thing, this very deadly disease. I mean, I was so joyful. I remember I called my husband and told him and everybody. I put on my nuclear family WhatsApp that I'm now clear. I remember I took a picture with him. I posted a picture there and it was just like, oh my goodness, my daughters were very happy. They were, Mommy, I'm so happy for you. Congrats, you made it, you're a strong woman and everything. And I mean, I got back home and I just went on my nails. My family, my husband was home that day, coincidentally, and we just went and we just worshipped God. Thank God for the whole journey and everything. So, I mean, it was the most exciting news for me. The news of the year that I've now been cleared, and I was very happy.
And I always say to patients as well that even the oncologist, like, we want the best outcomes. And when we see those best outcomes, we are so joyous. Like, like, I remember yours in particular, because I had connected very well with you. And it wasn't just that the margins were clear, it was also the fact that there was no cancer found in the resected tissue. So in the surgical tissue, like, all the cancer was gone. So it was like the best response that we could actually ask for. So I was super excited. I remember telling you I was all smiles that day, because like you said, there are people that don't get those happy stories, but when it does happen, it's important. And also, in the Black community, the C word is a word that nobody wants to mention because we've associated it with death. And stories like yours, affirms the fact that if cancer is caught early, it is curable. It's not always a death sentence. It's only a problem, or it becomes a problem when we wait for too long and the cancer has spread somewhere else, then the situation becomes incurable. So it's very, very important for us to go to our doctors if we're feeling any way and we're feeling things that are not normal. Learn to go to your GP. Okay? So just coming towards an end now, for your healthcare professionals that you've dealt with all through your journey, what are the things that you would like them to know?
Like I said, every healthcare professional that I've encountered on I labeled it a wellness journey.
I like this. I like that. That's good. Wellness journey.
I labeled it a wellness journey. For everyone that I've encountered, they've done tremendously well. I mean, I like the professionalism. I like the attention. I like the fact that people have the heart to help, to serve, you could call and you could see people literally calling back. It's interesting when you call and probably you've scaled through that challenge and somebody is still calling to say, oh, you called the other day and you're just checking to know if this has been resolved. It's amazing. I think the only part was, I wish I could have breaks when I was going through, because when I started with the first part of my chemo treatment, it was a weekly chemo.
Yes.
And it was traumatic. Every time I knew that I have to go for blood tests, I have to go back to the chemo, so I'm like, oh my goodness. So I wish I could just say, hello, can we pause here? But for every time I made an attempt to say, can I have a break? I'm like, this is a sequence that we need to address this. And I remember there was a time you had to tune down.
I was just gonna say there were times when we had to force the break because your bloods were not right, and we had to give you the break that you needed.
Yeah. There was also the part that you had to reduce my prescription, just because I just could not. Like they would say, I cannot. I just could not. I wasn't up to it, and apart from that, I think the medical team that handled my case, they were understanding. For me, I'll give them excellent performance. So it's not, they were reachable. I could talk to them. I could be vulnerable with them. I remember coming to my appointment one day and I had just lost my closest friend. So 2022 for me was 1 year. I don't know. I remember when I came for my first chemo and we were more like on video call through. She was always checking. She was the first person I shared the news with when I was diagnosed. Even before 10 months, because I was even pitying my husband to tell him that your wife is. I just been diagnosed. So, like 3 weeks down the line, she just passed. And I remember coming for my chemo treatment and I was crying. And the nurse was like, what's wrong with me? And I just told her that I just lost my friend. Like, do you want to go home and just get over this before you come back? I said, don't worry, I'll have my treatment. So I was having my treatment. I was in pain, both emotional, psychological, physical. It was a combination of all sorts of pain. But in it all, we were very supportive. The team was amazing, supportive, following up.
And is there any way you think we can improve, or any part of that journey that could have been improved upon?
So maybe for some part of the department handling sometimes you, for example, your personal nurse, sometimes you call and you can't reach that number.
Okay.
So I think that part on the part of, I think the diagnosing team or something, that part. But in terms of then the waiting time, of course, I don't know if the medical.
I think it's important to say this. So I know the NHS is struggling, as we do know the NHS is struggling, but it's important as patients to keep saying these things so that whatever trust you're being treated across the country can try to be better. So I think it's important that we voice this. So waiting list is a big issue.
Yeah, it's a big issue. Waiting list, waiting time for treatment. I know that whenever I came in for my treatment, it was always a whole day affair. So usually my appointment was usually 12:45 and I'm there till sometimes 8 p.m.
Wow.
So by the time you're going home, you're drained of all energy. So that part, waiting part, like you said, we understand that the NHS is struggling in terms of capacity and both financial and human capacity. So it's one area that requires improvements. That when that is done, it goes a long way to help patients to weather the storm of their, so that that you're coming for a treatment that is quite intense. You don't also want to now be faced with the challenge of having to come and wait. Sometimes your energy is already drained while you're waiting to be attended to. That's the part. But the moment it's your turn and you get called, everybody goes to work and ensures that they give you their best.
That's
Yes,
good.
so I
That's
give it
very
to
that's
them.
very good to hear.
Yeah.
That's very good. So last words, what would you say to other women that might be going through what you've gone through? And also, what advice do you have for women generally in terms of their health?
Okay, my advice to women generally to start with is to be aware. It's important that we become more aware and get a bit more proactive with our health. But there is this thing about women, especially African women, we always feel that we can do it or
Everything.
we can't fall down. I mean that we have these superpowers. I mean, there's no superpower outside of your health. The moment something goes wrong, then everything that you think to be chasing, you can't even make progress from that point onwards. So I'll advise that we become more intentional, more proactive when it comes to checks, just simple checks like we're supposed to do. A lot of us don't do it, you know. And it's one thing that really helped me because I was checking. I checked and I saw that there was something abnormal, and it helped me to quickly escalate to the medical professionals. Then for those that are going through similar treatment, I would say that cancer treatment is more like a faith journey. It's a mind battle. So the moment, just like any other battle, once you lose it in your mind, you lose it physically. So for me, the part that I was intentional in taking care of was my mind. I made sure that I gathered what was coming, and that's why I didn't share with anybody outside of my nuclear family. So because sometimes by the time you share, I mean, people are already crying on your behalf. And the the ripple effects.
Yes.
People are pitying you when you are not even. It's not as bad. I mean, like you said, it's the diagnosis has been synonymous with death, and because you only hear people talk about it after they go, oh, she died of cancer. The same 2022, I had 2 people died of the same breast cancer, 141, 143. So you could imagine that hearing those kind of news, you're wondering that, am I going to make it? But in my mind, I knew I was going to make it. It was something that I set with. So mentally, I made sure that I fed myself with positive things. Like the Macmillan support group was very, very helpful as well. I'll go there, I'll read up things. Like I said, I was reading up things just for my own understanding, to know how to deal with things. The information really helped me. Guarding my mind, being intentional about what I consume, regarding my mental health also helped me. Then I had to slow down everything, like literally slow down. When it's time to slow down, you have to slow down. Unfortunately, you don't even have a choice because even the treatment process slows you down. So I yielded myself to the treatment process, and I was just like, if this is going to take 1 year, even 2 years of my life to get, let me just slow down. It's better, the picture I painted for myself is it's better you slow down for this next 2 years, worst case scenario, to gain
for the
future.
Yeah.
I mean, so I was ready to subject myself to whatever treatment process, whatever it is that I needed to do in terms of exercising, taking a lot of water, eating. And I'll do a lot of colors in my food. Like I put all the grains, everything, make sure so like now my routine every morning I have green smoothie first thing and things like that. So if you're going through this treatment, it's important that you are intentional about your mind, your mindset, your mental health. I mean, guard the people that you surround yourself with. You don't need pity party because at the end of the day, they can't really help you. Then trust the medical process. One thing that really helped me, and I give this to my husband, was like, you know, there's this thing about we Africans, like, if you tell your sister, you can recommend. My husband was like, let's trust the medical process and trust God. Simple. And that was all. And it helped. It worked for me.
Wow. Like, I'm just overwhelmed with everything you said today, but also inspired and encouraged because, like you said, we don't always hear the good ones. We only hear the bad ones.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that there are no good ones. And 65% of cancers can be cured. And this is very important information to tell people. You know, there's more cancer that can be cured if caught early. And it's always about going when it's early, you know, because that's when there's a chance that something can be done for you, okay? But thank you so much. You know, like, I know it's not easy to share the journey, but I really, really, really want to thank you for coming on set today and sharing this beautiful journey. And I know that a lot of people would have learned so much from this. So I want to say thank you for joining us today, and until next time, on the next episode of the Ebony Experience with Cancer, have a lovely day. Bye for now.
Bye.